in order. Roll call.
Selena King will be absent today. Okay. Edward Dawson.
Present.
Laura Gungeon.
Present.
Jeffrey Johnson. And PJ Manala.
Present.
Thank you. The first thing we need to do is appoint the 2022 ZHB secretary. We had done this at one time. We need to do some reversal of that to switch Jake and I from planning to zoning hearing. So we'll need a motion probably to do that.
Okay. Go ahead, Laura. The motion?
I move to appoint Amy Francis as secretary of the planning or the zoning hearing board.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Laura.
Properly moved second.
Okay.
Ready for question? Question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
In the future, Amy will call for the vote, please.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Hey, can we rise and salute the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Call for approval of the minutes.
I'll make that motion.
I so second.
Okay. All approved?
Call
Aye.
for the vote.
Aye.
Aye.
All against?
Motion carries. Appeals to be heard. With all persons who are either for or against or just have an opinion, please state your name, give the address, and be sworn in. All persons, if you'd like to stand now, so you can do it one time, who intend to, let's first get you sworn in. Thank you.
Would the reporter administer the oath?
I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help me God. Thank you. So as you come to the podium to speak, name, address, and for or against it. Ready for the appeals.
First on the agenda is appeal number 12265 by David and Dorothy Frazier. This is a property located at 2421 Woodlawn Street, index number 18-5138-304. And Bob Morris, are you presenting?
Good afternoon. My name is Bob Mars. I'm an architect, Roth-Mars Partnership. My address is 3505 Chapin Street, Erie, Pennsylvania. I'm here representing Dorothy and David Frazier. We were hired to put an addition on their house of a bedroom. Currently, their house, and I gave you a picture of it, is a split level. So you walk into the front door, there's a step up on a concrete stoop and then one step into the house. Now once you're in the house, you're in the living room, dining room, kitchen level. To go to the bedrooms, you either have to go down 4 feet or up 4 feet. So with the health of Mr. Frazier, they wanted to have a bedroom on the same level as the entry, dining room, kitchen, and living room, and the bathroom. So Mr. Frazier's health is is wailing. He has a late-stage kidney failure. Among other things, it's hard for him to manage steps. And they wanted the design to accommodate a wheelchair for a future. So our bedroom is a little larger than normal for the maneuverability of that wheelchair. Now, when we looked at the property, initially they wanted to have a carport on the west side of the house, but because of the side yard setbacks, we were unable to do that. The rear yard, with the bedroom addition, we're encroaching on the 30-foot setback by 3 feet. So we are asking for relief for that rear yard setback, but we do comply with the side yards, and the front yard existing is 30 feet. Now, the overall property depth, did a little bit of research, and it's 100 feet, so it is a rather shallow lot compared to other R1 lots. So we are asking for relief of the rear yard side setback to encroach on that setback by 3 feet, so we could accommodate a larger bedroom to accommodate Mr. Frazier's needs. With that said, we think the variance, if authorized, would not alter the essential character of the neighborhood or the district which the property is located, nor substantially or permanently impair the appropriate use or development of adjacent property. And nor would it be detrimental to public welfare. Additionally, the variance, if authorized, would represent the minimal variance that would afford relief and will represent the least modification possible of the regulations at issue. So with that said, we appeal that you would approve this variance of the rear yard setback dimension. Any questions?
Anyone to speak in favor? We're checking Zoom too? All right. Anyone else to speak in favor? Anyone to speak in opposition? Opposed? Anyone to speak opposed? Members of the board, questions?
I don't have any questions. Mr. Chairman, if we could hear the rest of the testimony and then have a brief executive session prior to the vote.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, we'll have a brief.
We could, yeah, we
Yes.
could hear all the appeals and then do a brief executive session.
You want to go
and then
through
come back
all
and
of-
vote on
all
all
the
3 of
appeals?
them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We'll move on to the second. Appeal number 12266 by Maria Minah concerning a property located at 1608 West 8th Street, index number 17-4114-119, located in a C1 commercial zoning district.
My name is Maria Minah, and I own a building at 1608 West 8th Street that's a retail space, and I have a small section in the corner that was used as storage that I'd like to request a live-work variance for it to use for personal space or a bedroom.
Why are you requesting the variance?
Because I would like to have that area to live in because for business continuity, you know, my customers and suppliers are global. It's easier for me to be responsive if I'm there. I work a lot, and it's just and around the clock, and it would just be more convenient and if I am there. I'm a C1 designation, and a C4 designation allows limited retail use and single-family dwelling. So I'm just asking for a live-work variance because both are in neighborhood settings, and there's a lot of other businesses down the street that have that type of a setting, a living and working in the same building.
Okay, so you're applying for a use variance.
I'm sorry?
You're applying for a use variance,
Yes.
okay?
How big is the space that you were talking about converting into a bedroom?
12 by 15, approximately. It was a storage space, and, with everything that happened because of COVID, I cleaned out the space, and it would be really convenient to be used. And it just makes sense for me to be able to work and stay in the same place because of my work schedule.
All right.
I just have a couple of additional questions for you there. And the reason that I'm asking these questions is because if we were to approve this variance for you, then this variance would transfer to anybody who subsequently bought the property. So it's not just a you thing.
Right, right.
Okay?
It's for the building.
Right. So would this be your primary residence then?
Yes. It doesn't have to be, but for me it would be.
Well, I mean, do you plan on selling your home?
Yeah, I rent.
Okay.
I rent an apartment.
And what other businesses are you aware of that have this type of setup?
I know there's a living area above Avanti's. There's an advertising firm across the street, Paper, they have that. All along A Street, there's several of them. I don't know the names of all of them, but
Okay. And you don't know how long any of those have been in place?
no, I don't.
And for the record, those properties are in a different zoning category,
Right,
right? Residential limited business.
yes.
Okay. I don't have any further questions for her if the board does.
All right, no further questions? Board, you have any questions?
Is there an additional restroom, or do you plan for an additional restroom?
I had 4 restrooms, and now I just have 2. I changed it into 2. I didn't need them, we weren't using them.
On the plan that you provided, there's a restroom next to the kitchen. I see a service sink, and I see a shower.
Yeah, and then there is also in the, when you go, it's designated as a closet, and it says rod shelf. There's actually space for a toilet to be put there, but I haven't done it yet. I mean, that was actually a bathroom where the shower was a bathroom, and so where the service sink was also a bathroom, but they haven't been used. The only one that was really used was the one that's designated as a restroom now and where the shower is. So I can put a toilet in, but I haven't.
Okay.
I mean, it's just a matter of installing one.
Okay. Thank you. I don't have anything further.
I have nothing further either, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for your testimony. Anyone to speak in favor? Anyone to speak in favor? Anyone to speak in favor? Anyone to speak opposed? Anyone to speak opposed? Thank you
Thank
for
you.
your testimony. Next.
Appeal number 12267 by Matthew Larson concerning a property located at 549 East 33rd Street, index 18-5374-202, located in an R1A residential zoning district, requesting a change of non-conforming use from personal services, which was a salon, to a retail business.
State your name.
Matt Larson, 87 Rowan Lane, Spring Creek, PA, 16436.
Thank you.
Okay, I believe the board should approve the request. The property I purchased approximately 15 years ago at 549 East 33rd was a C1 commercial property when I purchased it. There was a hair salon being operated on there, and somewhere over the last 15 years that I've owned it, it's been changed to an R1A, which is single-family dwelling, if I'm not mistaken. It's never been that since I've owned it, and it kind of creates a hardship by not being able to I can't conform to provisions of the zoning ordinance, a single-family dwelling. This variance is needed to enable reasonable use of the property, as the hardship was not created by me. What I'm asking to do is switch the non-conforming use to be allowed to operate a retail business. I have a gentleman that's willing to purchase the property for that purpose. He would like to live in the upstairs unit and run his business out of the first floor. Also, within 100 feet of my building, there's a retail store to my right. There's a garage and a car lot in front of me on the other side of the street. Variance, if authorized, will not alter the character of the neighborhood in which it is situated, and there'd be minimal impact to the neighborhood, as this property has sufficient off-street parking to accommodate any business traffic brought by the store. Can I give them a picture of this property? I got the front and the back, the parking lot. Thank you. Also, if this variance is authorized, it'll have little to no impact on the adjacent properties, nor be detrimental to the public welfare. If this variance is authorized, we'll present the minimum variance that will offer relief and will represent the least modification possible of the regulation at issue. Also, if this variance is granted, the purchaser of the property knows that any changes to the structure will need to be done by an architect drawing and the BIU approvals.
A couple of questions for you, sir. Is the hair salon still in business?
It is not.
When
She
was-
had moved on
How long ago?
3 to 5 years, I'm not quite sure.
Okay.
And I tried to turn it into an apartment, and that turned into a fiasco, being that they wanted $25,000 sprinkler heads put in that unit alone.
Right. I saw when I looked at the property online that there was advertising there for student housing.
And that's what I used to rent to students, and the pandemic just killed that.
Okay. Did you ever seek a variance to be able to rent to students?
No, that's always been, it was, from the day I bought the property, that's what it was rented for. So I just continued it. As a matter of fact, I had a inspection done one time, and the inspector said something about no more than 2 people that aren't related living in a building or in an apartment or something, and I wasn't quite sure what he meant by that. Now, knowing that it's residential 1A, now I can see why he brought that up.
Yeah. And what type of retail establishment are we talking
I'm
about?
thinking it's going to be a store, kind of like the one that's right next door to it.
What type of store is that that's next door to you?
It's an all-in-one supermarket. It's an Indian store, I believe.
Okay. I don't have any further questions.
Board, any questions? Thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else to speak in favor?
Hi, I'm Joe Fernandez with Agresti Real Estate. I also owned that property back in 80, I think I bought it in 86 and sold it at about 91 or 92. And we're the ones that converted it at the time when it was commercial. we converted it into the beauty shop. I just happen to know Matt. I didn't sell it to Matt, we sold it to somebody in between. There is an in-between owner, so you understand that. And it was always a commercial. Prior to that, it was a hardware store. It was a commercial hardware store there for, I can't tell you how many years then. I mean, you have to go way back. I can't even remember the name of him, but he probably was closed down, and then he just had lived upstairs, and he shut down the hardware store. You know how that happened with small businesses in the 70s. This happened in the 80s, that he shut down, somewhere between the 70s and 80s. But anyhow, the store that's going in, that I happen to be the realtor that's representing the buyer, it's a clothing store. It's a the families are from Nepal and Bhutan. I'm not quite, Bhutan, I think it is, because it's Bhutan be something else. Anyway, Bhutan. And it's basically, it attracts Indian dress-ups for holidays and stuff like that no one else in the whole area has. He has beautiful dresses and holiday stuff like that, and things that the families there need. But obviously, he doesn't have to have too much more space. He's going to do a conforming of the building to make sure it conforms to the retail part of it. That has to be done again, But there's plenty of parking. There should be parking at least for, I would think, 20 cars, maybe 18. I don't know anymore. You can make it more yet because there's more grass in the back. And like I said, when I owned it, we had the beauty shop, and I lived upstairs, and then I had a rental down on the right-hand side of it. So many years, no problems, no issues. So that's about all I can tell you. Any other questions for me, you think? You have any? None?
No.
Okay. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay.
Anyone else to speak in favor? No? Anyone else to speak in favor? Anyone to oppose? Anyone to speak and oppose? Hearing none, we will recess and come back with our opinions. Board is back in session from recess. All right. On Appeal 12265. Board?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve a variance, this dimensional variance for this property.
I second.
Well, could you call for the vote? How about that? Thank you.
First, sorry, Laura, I have you in order. I can figure out which one's first. Laura?
No problem. I vote yes.
PJ?
Yes.
And Evan?
Yes.
Motion is passed. Would you like to do a second vote?
Yes.
Okay. Appeal number 12266. Are you doing a motion to approve?
Well, let's hear from the board.
Mr. Chairman, relative to the second appeal, in Ms. Minah, there are two very important questions when considering a use variance for a specific appeal. Number one, can the property be used for its intended purpose? And in this instance, it can. Number two, is there clearly demonstrated a hardship in using the property for that purpose? And the answer is no. And unfortunately, in this situation, I am not able to vote in favor of the variance. Mr. Martinucci, did you want to elaborate on those 2 points
Sure.
at all?
Just very briefly. Under Pennsylvania law, when somebody's looking for a variance, there are two types of variances. There's, I'm going to duck around so I can look here. Thank you very much. There are two types of variances. There's a dimensional variance and then there's a use variance, okay? And what you were looking for was a use variance. So there are several zoning districts in the vicinity of your shop. And there are some that are residential, there are some that are commercial, and then there are some that are RLB, which is a mixed use of both residential and commercial. And your building happens to fall into the area of strictly commercial. So it's a straightforward use variance. It's not just a situation where we, as a matter of convenience, can let people do what they want to with buildings. We have to look at the code, and this is the code that the zoning map that City Council has established, and make a determination based on that. And we have a number of factors that we have to look at. The first thing is whether or not the property, in and of itself, can be used for the purpose designated in the zoning code, the zoning ordinance. Yours was commercial. It can clearly be used as a commercial building. That's the primary purpose of it. There's no allowed secondary or ancillary use of the building for residential purposes that's permitted in that, so you'd be looking for a straightforward use variance. Because there's no hardship imposed on you by strictly using the building for commercial purposes, the rest of the criteria kind of fall away and not in your favor in terms of this requested use. The building was always used for commercial purposes. It has never had a residential use. It doesn't impose a hardship on you to not say you can't use it for residential purposes. Any hardship that would exist would be one that you imposed on yourself, and changing the zoning in that area or allowing this use variance would change the character of the businesses in that area. Now, I can't speak to every business in that strip there. I don't know if there's anybody who is utilizing space up above, but if they're in a commercial district and their use of the space for residential purposes didn't predate continually the change from whatever they were before to RLB or to commercial, then it might be a non-conforming use. But as far as I know at this point in time, any other business in that area where somebody's living up above or living in the back has been in continual use in that fashion for an extended period of time, probably before any zoning changes. Because there was nothing for your building that predates it and predates any change in zoning for your area, you're not going to meet the criteria under Pennsylvania law to allow that use variance. Okay? So, I mean, it's up to the board to vote, but those are the issues that I see.
Call for the vote.
No.
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 Appeal 12-267.
Mr. Chairman, much like the previous instance, we have two very important questions, right? Relative to the intended purpose. It can be used for its intended purpose and demonstrating a hardship. Unfortunately, the hardship is not demonstrated. What's important thing to remember here, too, is the non-conforming use of the hair salon, when the hair salon vacated that property, actually ended at that time. So before us today is not a non-conforming use to a non-conforming use, because the non-conforming use basically has been abandoned. So before us today is a use variance, whether the board is going to allow a retail establishment in an R1A district. And much like the previous example, the hardship question and the use question, unfortunately, don't lend themselves in your favor.
And I guess just to add to that, your testimony was that the salon stopped operating between 3 to 5 years ago. So to the extent that it stopped operating 3 to 5 years ago, that non-conforming use has to be considered abandoned at that point in time. There was no other business that went in there, whether it was a salon or anything else. That area sat vacant for a period of time. So while there was a non-conforming use while the salon was operational, and where there could have been a non-conforming use if the salon had continued or a salon had continued for a period of time, when it was gone, the non-conforming use went away as well. So it's a straightforward use variance that you're looking at, and again, the criteria there it's not going to favor you.
Are we ready to call for the vote? Okay. Ms. Gunchen?
No.
Mr. Manella?
No.
Mr. Dawson?
I vote yes.
Variance has been denied. Ready to adjourn or anything else?
The motion to adjourn?
Second.
Properly moved, second. The zoning hearing board, City of Erie, is now adjourned.
Thank you all.